I've been talking also in those posts that I've done previously about this concept of working with multidimensional sound. And I want to explain this a bit because I think this is quite important. Maybe I've touched on it on other occasions, but this is a concept that came to me in the last years, but it has become more and more clear in the last year. And the reason why this is important is because it is through sound, through frequency, that light gets formulated into matter. So when we want to shift a frequency, when we want to shift our reality, basically, we can do it through adjusting these frequencies and sound. Now, one of the gates in the IC, which is called multidimensional awareness and acceptance, is about frequency, and it says frequency enables consciousness. So basically, light in itself is very blank, almost, if you want. It's like a blank fabric. Now, when it starts to be informed with various codes, then it starts to get organized, if I can say so, in different structures. But those structures, unless they start resonating on a specific frequency, they're a bit inert. They're not alive, if I can say so. So it is this. That's why they say frequency enables consciousness, because that's what brings things into life, into manifestation. And I'm going to actually read a very short bit, it's really short, from a channeling that came through about a year ago about multidimensional sound, just to give you a sense of what I mean, because it's not just it sounds like a very abstract concept. It just sounds like something that people throw in a conversation to sound fancy. But it's actually it's an actual physical, concept, if I can say so. So they say sound can decompose in the same way as light does going through a prism. The matter can be molded and reconfigured through decomposing the sound and light patterns and algorithms and recomposing them. So basically, when you start shifting, you have to break first the arrangement, and then you can recompose them. And then they say it's when you work with this matter manipulation, if you want, it's not just about applying a frequency, as we might imagine, but a combination of frequencies engaging multiple dimensions, just because nothing exists just at one level. So to actually shift the whole structure, you need to work at all levels at the same time. It's true that things can be triggered at one level and then engage shifts on the other ones, but the more we are becoming aware of this multidimensionality of who we are, the more we can actually actively work more with it in a practical way. So they say a combination of frequencies engaging multiple dimensions. This is done through access of consciousness, which is all encompassing. Which is why they were saying frequency enables consciousness. Yeah, they're very linked. Working with Metatron's cube helps, just because Metatron's cube is encompassing all these frequencies. It has this multidimensional structure to it. And then I was asking them, how can I work more practically with this? So they were giving me this example or this explanation. They said, You know that crystals vibrate. That vibration is keeping them together in the solid shape that you perceive. That creates the bonds between molecules, like bridges through which the light travels. It's all about communication. When you break the crystal through smashing it in some way, you hear a sound. The energy gets released from the sound bound as sound. It's the sound that carries the energy, as we said. Light waves attach, so to say, to the sound waves. Sound is magnetic. That's why we were talking about magnetic resonance. That's what it is. Light is light. It is all the same. It's only through sound and vibration that it becomes differentiated. It gains personality, so to say. It gains form. It gets formulated. So I'm going to stop here because I think that's what was relevant for us. I don't want us to get too cerebral about it. It's just to give you a bit of a sense of what this means, and also because we are going to work actually with this sort of multidimensional sound. This, as I said, it has become more and more present lately with me and in my work, with myself and with others. And I started more and more perceiving these sound waves which are coming through during healings, during attunements. But I see them, if you want. I see them as, you know how when you see in those movies, those supersonic planes, and then when they break the sound barrier, you see that like a ripple, like a wave in the air when they pass. It's a bit like that. They're like round waves, if you want, the way I see them, with different colors, but they're extremely powerful. I don't know how to say. It's like, you know, they're really, really powerful, and they come to create specific adjustments and processes of healing. So we'll work with this in combination with our crystalline structure, which is again something that has become more and more present. It's gaining materiality, substance lately. Again, it moved from being just a concept to actually becoming real. The way I perceive this structure within us, I see it and perceive it a lot in the bones, connecting through the bones and through the bone marrow, which is, you know, this environment in our body, this tissue that is connecting, that is creating the stem cell. So that kind of makes sense to me, that these crystalline structures are developing through the stem cells, which are the cells that then give birth to other types of cells. So it's almost like these new cells that are being produced in our body, they are being produced differently based on a different structure, which is, as I said, also encoded in the DNA, and circulating through the blood, through these stem cells, through everything into our system. So it's like permeating at all levels. I also perceive this structure, this crystalline structure, very much connected with the structure of the earth, these grids that everyone keeps talking about, these crystalline grids, which are a bit like a matrix throughout the earth. At least that's how I see them, like a sacred geometry structure that has these nodes that are connecting with different things and resonating in different ways. Yeah, the other thing that comes is this concept of connections, our connections that are shifting. And what is shifting is not just the connection, but the way we connect, if I can say so, because of these shifts that are occurring within us, because of this increased awareness, because of these light structures that are developing within us. The way we function effectively, it's changed, as I said, and it is changing. Better said. The way we used to connect was very linear, almost very restrictive. There was this way of kind of like a necessity to create cords and ties and bonds with not just other people, but also with different things in our life, with different aspects and with different aspects of us from different times, from different situations and dimensions and so forth. So, whereas now, as the more we vibrate on a pure frequency, if you want, the less we have the need to create those bonds. It's like they don't make sense anymore, because all these ties were only created out of fear of losing something, fear of not being accepted, fear of not being loved, of not being taken care of, all these sort of things, creating codependency, creating cords and contracts and all these sort of vows and other things that really are not needed in order to connect with people. Because now that we can integrate this multidimensionality and we are actually becoming aware that we are functioning differently, and of the fact of how we resonate with different things and how we manifest our reality through this resonance, we are becoming able to let go of these bonds and ties and instead realize that our connections are created through this process of resonance, of magnetic resonance, if you want. So it's like when you vibe basically with someone, that person is connected to you automatically. If you don't vibe with them anymore, it just doesn't work. It just the connection breaks. And all we do by trying to maintain a connection that doesn't work is just creating a tie, like a chain that is not helping anyone, and equally trying to create a connection that is not on the frequency match, again, just doesn't work. So it's just our mind tricking us into thinking that, oh, if we bind someone to us, then we'll be happy or we'll be supported. Or it's not. That's very much how humanity used to think for a very long time. And this is why we needed all this manipulation needed. We used all these techniques to manipulate people, to trick people into liking us, or fearing us, for the purpose of having them stay connected and bound to us. So all this is falling apart now. All this is just doesn't make sense anymore. It's just not needed anymore. And that's why I was saying, by shifting this way of connecting with people, we become free. There's no need to be tied up to anyone or anything. And the other thing that helps us coming into this state of resonance is removing judgment. Removing judgment, because this is what is creating the labels. This is what is creating the assumptions about what something or someone should be or is. Or whereas when you just count on your natural vibration, things just happen naturally. You don't have to wonder anymore, oh, is this person good for me? Is it not good for me? Is this thing good for me? You just know. As soon as you allow yourself to stop judging it, which often translates into overthinking and often translates into an inner conflict between our own frequency and what our mind fabricates. As soon as we let go of this, we can become free and things can unfold naturally and in our benefit, because it cannot be against us if it's something that resonates with us. That's that being in the flow, that people keep talking about.